Hi everyone! It is so lovely to be back with you all at BCF. Now, before I start this week's Kids Talk, I want to say a massive well done to everybody who took part last week. You guys did such an amazing job doing the service and you should be really proud of yourselves. It honestly was brilliant. So this week, Gavin has asked me to do your Kids Talk. And I think if we have a look inside my big Bible, we will find a clue as to what Bible story we're going to look at today. Will we have a look? Let's have a look in my big Bible. So this is the big Bible that I use with my Sunday school class back in Edinburgh. And inside our big Bible, there's always a clue about the Bible story. So let's have a look. Inside the big Bible today, I've got a boat. And I've got some waves. Can you guys think about a Bible story that you might have heard recently, maybe in the last couple of weeks at church, that involve a boat and some waves? Can you think of one? If you can, why don't you post it in the chat room and see if you get it right? What story recently have we looked at that has waves and a boat? I'll give you a couple of seconds to write it out in the chat room, and let's see if you're correct. Well, if you said the story of Jesus walking on the water, you'd be correct. That is the story we're going to look at today. I know Gavin looked at it a couple of weeks ago, boys and girls. I thought we would have another look at it, but we'd do it slightly differently. I need your help, boys and girls. Do you think you can help me, boys and girls? Brilliant! So, what I need you to do is to get a bit of paper and a pencil. So a normal size bit of paper and a pencil or a pen or something you can use to draw, because we are going to draw the Bible story today. You all know that I like to draw. We're going to do a drawing together. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to go and get some pens and some paper, and then once you've got your bit of paper, I want you, or maybe get your grown-ups to help you, to fold it in half and then in half again. So you have 4 squares on your bit of paper. Does that sound good? Brilliant. Right, I want you guys to go and do that just now, and then we're going to get ready to tell the Bible story. So, you're going to draw the story as I tell it. I'll tell you what to draw in each box, and then while I'm telling the story, you can be drawing, okay? Fabulous. Right, boys and girls. So, our story starts out on a boat in a storm. So that's what I want you to draw. Can you draw a boat in the middle of a storm in box number 1? Because we read in our Bibles, in the book of Matthew, in chapter 14, that Jesus sent his disciples out onto the lake, and while they were out in their boat, a massive storm came. The winds came up, the waves came up, and they were so scared. Can you imagine how scared you would have been if you were in that boat? I know I would have been terrified. I don't like the wind at the best of times. I can't imagine being out in the middle of a storm with all the wind and the waves around me in a little boat. But the disciples got a little bit more freaked out. So they were in the storm with the wind and the waves, and then they looked out onto the water and they were very confused. They saw somebody walking towards them on the water. And you know, it tells us in our Bibles of just how scared they were. It says in our Bibles, Jesus came towards them walking on the water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified. In their fear, they cried out, "It's a ghost!" They thought a ghost was walking towards them on the water. Jesus saw how scared they were, and he cried out to them saying, "Don't worry. Don't be scared. It's me. I am here." Jesus reminded the disciples, "You don't need to be scared, I'm here." But then Peter, one of the disciples, decided, "Lord, if it's really you, why don't you call me out so I can walk on the water?" I have to admit, I think that's a little bit mad. Why would you want to get out of a boat into a storm? I don't know if you ever tried to walk on water. It doesn't really work. I don't know what Peter was thinking. But he decided, "No, Jesus, call me out onto the water so I can walk on the waves with you." So he did. Jesus called Peter to come. And Peter came and walked on the water. So you can draw that in box number 2. Draw Peter walking on the water towards Jesus. That would have taken a lot of bravery. Can you imagine how scary that would have been? All the wind and the waves around you. Peter kept his eyes fixed on Jesus. The storm was still there, but it wasn't bothering Peter. He kept his eyes fixed on Jesus. He had that bravery to get out of the boat and knew that if he kept his eyes fixed right on Jesus, he would be okay. But Peter's like us. He's human. And once he realised what he was doing, he was like, oh no, I'm walking on water. There's a storm around me. He started to panic. And the minute his eyes came away from Jesus, he started to sink. So can you draw that in box number 3? Peter looked away from Jesus and he started to sink. Peter lost some of his bravery. He realised that the storm was still going on around him. All was not lost. Because in box number 4, this is what I want you to draw. Jesus looked at Peter, reached out his hand and held on to Peter and brought him back to safety. Jesus reached out into the storm and saved Peter. Now I think that is amazing. The bravery that it took Peter to walk on the water was amazing. But that story teaches us that yes, we need to be brave. But in order for us to be brave, we need to keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. It tells us in the book of the Bible called Hebrews that we need to fix our eyes on Jesus. He wants us to keep our eyes focused on him. Now that doesn't mean storms will disappear or life just goes back to being normal and not crazy like it is right now. These things will still be there. But if we keep our eyes fixed completely on Jesus, the storms don't seem as big. And Jesus gives us that bravery to fight these storms. But he doesn't ask us to do it on our own. Like in the story, Jesus comes into the storm. He meets us in the middle of the storm and helps us through it. He doesn't get rid of it, but he helps us through it. So why don't you have a think this week, boys and girls, about how you can be brave? How can you be brave for Jesus? And how can you keep your eyes fixed on him? Maybe that's through reading your Bibles, or singing some songs, or drawing pictures, or praying. Just think about how can you keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. And remember to send in your pictures so I can see the amazing drawings you've done. Well, thank you guys for listening. I'm going to hand back to Gavin. See you soon. Bye bye.